Hello, welcome to the Food and Cosplay podcast where Eddie talks. Yes, that's right, that Eddie. But I just want to inform you that we're about to listen to some views and comments from the hosts and guests that may not reflect everybody's opinions. So keep it nice, all right? We want a nice open conversation. And at this point, usually Eddie plays that banter section, but remember, you can always listen to other podcasts. But because you're here, you're going to have to listen to the banter.
Did everyone get to see my red panda hat?
I loved it.
I was there when you first put it on your head.
And I want one.
Honestly, I gunned it. I gunned it to Jarla's Bone store. I saw it there and I went, mine. That's mine. I'm not, it wasn't even a haggle. I wasn't going to pretend to go, oh, should I buy it or not? Mine. Honestly.
I think my favourite was the words that you said to me and the friend that I was with when you put it on your head that did it for me.
What did I say?
Like, as we were talking, we were just talking about cosplay and just stuff in general, and we mentioned that this podcast, and you said, look, I'm going to cosplay as an Asian photographer, and then you just chucked the hat, and then you just chucked the hat on your head and just ran, and me and my friend were just in hysterics.
Well...
It was just... I was like, and my friend just looked at me and went, is he always like that? I was like, yeah.
I've got to stay on brand.
And then she was like, oh, he seems nice. I was like, questionable.
I was going to say, that is definitely questionable. Hello everybody, this is the Ed Talk About Podcast, a weekly podcast talking about cosplay, Comic-Con and everything else. I'm your host Eddie, and this week we're talking about the good, the bad and the ugly of MegaConLive London. Woo! I don't know why I do a sound effect, because can I do this? Hang on. Oh no, I can't do it. Anyway, I've got a touch screen and that didn't work, but yeah.
The intention was there.
Yeah, it was meant to be a fanfare. Maybe I'll put that in post, but anyway. Anyway, joining us on the podcast is Alex on the Natasha cosplay.
Oh, you were so close.
Oh,
So close.
Oh, I've heard those words before. And I am so sorry. It's only taken a minute for us to become smut. I am so sorry. And we got Cassandra, our Seal of Strange cosplay. Oh, no, just Seal of Strange, sorry.
Yeah, that was right.
Yeah. Jesus.
This is why I can never change my cosplay name.
Oh, I know. The amount of times I want to change, the amount of times I said last year I was going to change my one, I went, it's never going to happen. It's never.
I can't do it. It's like too many people know me as this now, even with the fandom that must not be named. Too many people know me as this, so I can't change it.
What do you mean the franchise that can't be named? Are you a Trump supporter? I didn't realise. Anyway.
I mean...
Anyway, I'm joking. She's not a Trump. Well, I hope she's not a Trump supporter, but I'll let her.
Oh God, no! I'm very proud to say, as a dual citizen of the UK and the US, I voted him out.
Oh, I didn't realise you were a dual citizen.
Yeah, my dad's American. Fun fact about me.
Ah, fair enough. How often do you visit the States?
As often as I can, but money. It's not cheap to do. Transatlantic flights, but. I want to try and go back to see my grandma, but it's just not cheap. Sadly.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But I got the passport and everything, so if this country becomes worse than there, I've got an escape.
It's going to be hell of a decision to make. Which is worse, this dumpster fire or this dumpster fire?
Basically.
Yeah, they're both on fire. They're both dumpsters. Same amount of fuel. This is a hard decision.
Basically.
I mean, there's other countries, but no. But which of these two could I just sit? It's like, yeah, it's no. Anyway, let's not do that. As I said, we are going to be talking about MegaConLive London, but before I do that, I always do a health check. I always do a welfare check. So, Alex, how have you been for the last 7 days? But also, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How have you been for the last God knows how long?
It has been a while. I've been good. I've just moved, so it's been all crazy moving stress. I'm still kind of moving. I've been DIYing and decorating and just crazy chaos like that, and now all of a sudden con season is here, so it's wild, but no, I'm pretty good.
That's good to hear. How's the freezer?
Oh my god, I have a lovely new one now. So
That's
basically,
exciting.
the people, for context, the people who moved out left me the fridge freezer, and I was like, well, that's nice of them because it saves me some money. There was very, very thick black mold all through it,
Oh,
and a mini milk. I don't know how long that mini milk had been there, but it was mine when I bought the place. So
that's
that
lovely.
promptly went to the dump. Like, the day I took that, or had that taken away, was a lovely, lovely day.
Just a lovely story. I don't know why I brought it up. Sorry, if you can
No.
hear food in my mouth, it's because I do have food in my mouth, but I will be
And the
better.
fact that you're eating while I'm talking about the fact that there was mold in my freezer.
Yeah, I was eating my ramen
Ugh.
just then, and then just very slowly just stopped. I was like,
Eddie ruined it for everybody.
yeah,
Wah, ha, 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 ha.
evil man.
I know. But does that mean you're coming back to Comic-Con season then? Or are you going to be still very strategic about which ones you're going to?
I think I'm definitely going to cut back,
Hmm.
purely because I'm now an adult with a mortgage, so I need to think about these things. But no, I'm back. I'm definitely back, and the sale was delayed, so my plans were to have made a lot of cosplay already,
Hmm.
and I have not. So I need to get back in the game.
That's right. Game face now. You got to put your game face
Oh,
back
yeah.
on. Come
Con
on.
crunch. Let's
Join
go con
us.
crunch.
No, don't con crunch. God damn it.
Don't
Anyway.
con crunch, but also
Con crunch.
do
Con crunch.
con crunch.
I haven't had con crunch for months, and it's felt really weird. Like October MCM last year, everybody was going, and it was the first one in 10 years that I didn't go to, and everybody was con crunching, and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, what's going on? What is this feeling of no con crunch? I didn't like it.
I don't want to toot my own horn here, but like I've done all my photos for 2023, so
Woo!
Woo,
yeah.
that's amazing.
it is amazing. Actually, I was actually very proud of myself. I don't know if I got hate for that or not, but fuck it, I don't care. I'm done.
I think it's impressive. Like, you don't
Yeah.
need to stress now.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I have a backlog of 2024 already, and that's even before MegaCon Live. So don't worry. So I wouldn't stress about it. Anyway, Cassandra, how about you? How's the last 7 days for you?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I've been living the dream at the theatre as always, and the friend who I mentioned about you and your lovely hat, Eddie, I've been
Yes.
spending time with them as they flew over to the UK specifically for MegaCon.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've been spending a lot of time with them because I hadn't seen them since was it May? Yeah, October of 2022, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They hadn't been able, just because of like moving and stuff, or it might be 2023. I'm bad at maths. We all know this. But we hadn't seen each other in a long, long time. So I purposely booked some time off work so we could spend some time together, and it was really fun.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. It's always good to spend time.
We've known each other for like, I think it's like 8 or 9 years now, and how they haven't killed me is a miracle, because I'm
don't
really
worry.
annoying.
You are very annoying. 100%. I'm not going to deny that. You are.
I'm so good at it though.
That's not something to be proud of, though, is it? Just to say, I'm just. No, don't. Don't. I mean, just no.
I'm just gonna go cry now. It's fine. I'll just leave.
Yeah, just in the corner, be over there. Just in that corner. I am actually pointing into that corner. Just cry, okay?
I'm just rocking back and forth in the corner. Cry. Why doesn't anyone love me? Is this why I have no friends?
100%. I mean, who knows? Let's move along. Quick. Oh, gee, Lord. Right.
Before therapy is needed.
Damn right. So, if anyone's unaware of what the good and the bad and the ugly is, it's the review show. I did this all of last year for the shows that I either have attended or at least had an interest in the event. So, I've been doing these all of last year, and I felt like continuing because I like doing these review shows. So we're going to say what we enjoyed about it. So the good, what was the bad, if there was any bad, and if I don't know if there was any ugly about this event. I don't know. I mean, so I'm sure something will come up in each of these sections. Who knows? And if you can't hear the sarcasm in my voice, yeah, there is something. But we will talk about the so-called the professional elephant in the room. So we are going to talk about. So we're going to start with the good. We'll all take it in turns, kind of thing. We'll all like pitch in a little bit. So there's no real format. There's no real like order of things. So we'll just all talk. But I think we can all agree that when we turned up to this event and we were all there and we were all having fun, how chilled it was. But not just like chilled,
Oh yeah.
like really chilled, like very chilled.
I managed to have lunch in the middle of the XL at midday at a table with no issues. What is this? Like that's
I
how
went to
chill it was.
Starbucks. There was no queuing like at all. It was just in and out. I was like, what world is this?
Where are we?
Where are we? Like I
What
literally like
dimension
was
are we
just
in?
I was preparing, like I literally set like half an hour aside to be like, right, I'm gonna go get a coffee. And so I trotted over and my friend was like, oh, I'll meet you there, I want to get coffee too. And we didn't even have to wait in line. I was shocked.
That's interesting because when I went to Starbucks, I had to fucking queue. I had to fucking wait.
Maybe it's because I had the app. I don't know, but
I turned up so I didn't turn up at 9 o'clock, I turned up at 10-ish. But I was starving. I was meant to go to Waterloo, go to Pret and get my Pret drink and like croissant thing. But I totally forgot. I went a different route and I went, oh, sod it. So I got, it was quite busy when I got there in the morning. But going back to the original point about how chilled it was, everyone I spoke to, everyone just said how much they enjoyed the event for how chilled it was. They got to, like you said, got to sit down, got to chat to people, got to enjoy it, got to look around.
At one point, I was literally like in the artist alley just looking at like a stall, and someone bumped into me by accident and apologised. It turned out to be a friend of mine I hadn't seen in like over a year. And we were just chatting like in the middle of the artist alley, and halfway through this conversation, as we were looking at art like and chatting and like buying stuff, we just turned to each other and went, if this was an MCM, this wouldn't happen, because we would be rammed in like God knows what, like sardines. And if we wanted to have a conversation, we would have to leave where we were stood to find somewhere to stand that's out the way.
Yeah,
and we didn't even have to think about that.
I mean, I think the aisles are quite wide anyway between MegaConLive and MCM. So it's not like it's the spacing, it's about the amount of people as well, isn't it?
Definitely, and like the amount of tickets sold as well.
Yes.
I know that MegaCon, I saw on their social media, I think it was for the London event, I can't recall off the top of my head right now. I think they did sell out of weekend tickets.
Yes, they did.
They sold out literally a couple days before the event. It was very recent.
And then I don't think they sold out of tickets on the day. If they did, like, you can hold me accountable for that. But considering they were sold out of weekend tickets, it was still like you could breathe. It felt like you could breathe, if that makes sense.
No, 100%, yeah.
Like, not one, like, with an MCM, I won't go inside the XL on a Saturday at all if I can help it, because you just can't move. Unless I happen to get there, like, really early in the morning. For the priority time.
May last year, I got blocked out of the XL at MCM because it was oversold. They wouldn't let anybody in, even though we all had tickets. It was a security risk, like a safety risk. So they just wouldn't allow us in, and we were like, well, we have tickets. What are you doing? So they clearly oversold. So this was really nice and chill.
No, I don't like that phrase of it's oversold. I won't accept it. Well, hang on.
Breathe.
I know. I'm not saying they didn't like sell more than they allocated, but I'm assuming when they sell tickets, they're not just doing it if they can fit everyone in the halls. I mean, they should.
No, I mean, not even in the halls. They wouldn't let us in the front door of the XL into the atrium bit.
Yes, in that bit as well.
Entire bit.
Absolutely, venue. but I'm sure they include the outside area as part that people can use, which I find baffling at times, because I think, what happens if the weather changes or something happens outside that it requires everyone to go inside, and vice versa, type of thing. So, but that's for a discussion for another time. But yes, I get what you're saying. Compared to like other events that's at the Excel, where it's quite sometimes can be hustle and bustle and really tightly packed. It was like, yeah, you could just walk anywhere. You could go up down the aisles. You can take photos if you were allowed in the hallways.
That's another subject matter.
Hell of a, that could be a whole podcast in itself, which we will allude to later in the show. It was quite interesting to see a lot of people doing like their TikTok I say TikTok videos, TikTok dance videos, or everywhere I went practically.
Oh yeah. It was
and things.
amazing to watch, to be honest. I was like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but you look great. I'm too old to know what this is, but you know.
You're too old. Fuck me. How do you think I feel? Jesus Christ. Was there anything else that someone would bring up about the good about the event?
Definitely the variety of the artist stalls and like the merchant stalls that they had there. One thing I noticed about, well, mainly the more recent MCMs that I've attended, both whether that be the ones that I go to every year without fail in London, or the rare few that I've attended in Birmingham, which hasn't been many because it's a bit of a trek for me to get up there from London. Is that just they had such a variety. I spent far more money than I was planning to spend purely because they had such good like types of artists. They had different styles, different subject matters, different products. Whereas most MCMs, like I love MCM, I'll always keep going to MCM, and I do buy stuff at MCM, but it's never a lot, purely because a lot of the stalls at MCM are constant Funko Pop stalls after Funko Pop stalls, and anime, like stalls which sell like art or products geared towards anime fans. And I understand like a lot of it with Comic Con, it is going to be geared towards anime fans. But as somebody who isn't an anime fan, it's nice to see variety and not just one type of like one genre, if that makes sense. Like I saw stalls, like, I mean, I'm a big Witcher fan. It's very rare to find Witcher art. I found multiple stalls selling Witcher art this time. I saw stalls like doing more like arcane, celestial inspired items. There was some anime stalls, some that did like Disney stuff, and there was a good variety of things there. And I walked around multiple times because there was always something new that I found. And it just made a change from the same stuff that's always there, if that makes sense.
Like every time I went down an aisle, there was something new. And I was like, I swear I've been down this aisle, but I don't recognize that stall. And yeah, I spent way too much as well. Like an unbelievable amount. I found Treasure Planet stuff, and Treasure Planet does not get any love ever. So I had this whole moment with a Shigo cosplayer. No idea who she was, but we both just at the same time were like, oh my God, it's Treasure Planet. Like, what is this? And had a big moment with the artist. And it was just really nice to see stuff that wasn't Funko. Like, there were Funkos, obviously, and a couple of mystery bag stores. But yeah, I don't think I saw an entire, like, brand store anywhere. I may be wrong. I may not have just noticed something, but, like, it just all seemed like independence.
And me personally, like, whenever I go to cons, I try to give my money to, like, the independent artists over the big companies anyway. Just in general, like, I prefer for my money to go to support a small business or an artist. So it was nice that it was all, like, independent, like, whether that be company or artist or anything. Like, it was all, like, small, like, very small, and it was nice.
I think it's strange for me because I don't previously look around the place. So seeing all these artists, I don't know really if I've seen them before or not seen them before. I always look out for stalls that I generally see all the time. David Bertram's artwork. I love his work. The Cupcake Company, Genki Gear, if they're, depending on which events they're at, I always seem to seek them out. So I seek, they're my go-to stalls that I go to see. But at times, I don't know if anyone had this, and I know, Alex, you were only there for one day, but even for how small it was, I kept getting lost. I swear I saw like one stall and I went, right, it's here. No, it's not. Where did it go?
Yeah, I did as well.
It just somehow moved, and it did not help that I swear one store, who I definitely saw one side or one little bit, moved to another bit the next day. I'm going, where the no!
They did it just to mess with you.
They really fucking did.
See, one thing that, like, I would say they could, I know it's not really under this subject, but what I feel they could have improved with that was how, again, like how MCM and a lot of the other big cons do it with the Artist's Alley, is how they, like, kind of put it in, like, a grid with letters and numbers, and then you can just make a note. Like, I know, like, there's a artist who I buy from every con. I literally spent over £100 on her stall this year. And she does, like, it's not cheap. She does, like, high quality jewellery. It's all silver or gold plated. So
I know who you mean. I love her stuff.
I literally spent, like, all my birthday money on her, and she was so lovely, and I love her to bits. And I go seek her out every con. She posted she was going to MegaCon, and on her Instagram she put the exact like table location. But when I got to the con, I was like, before when I did my first walk around, I couldn't find her, and I couldn't find anything to do with like her table marker that she put on her Instagram. She was like, "Oh, I'm close to like, I don't know, like S3. I'm this table number." With like a letter, like, "Oh, I'm A," like whatever the number was, and I couldn't see any markers anywhere for like how they tend to do at other events, where it's like, these are the numbers on this aisle, and you can kind of like work out your bearings, if that makes sense.
No, I get that. I do get that. Yeah, that's definitely a little failing about that. So yeah.
But I have no
Yeah.
complaints other
No,
than that, really.
that's fine. If there's nothing else to add about the artist bit, Alex, you haven't contributed, so I'll let you take the stage for a little bit.
I think I liked the fact that it was a new con in that sense. Like, I've been waiting for this to come to London for a while because I've done Birmingham, I've done Manchester, and London doesn't really have much variety in terms of cons. Like, somebody pointed out to me yesterday that MCM and LFCC are the only like non kind of anime based ones. And I was like, that is very kind of true. Like, we're starting to get more now with like, I think Monopoly's coming down, but it was just really nice to have another option.
Monopoly is coming in, I think it's August. They're doing For the Love of Fantasy there.
I
At the XL.
I don't know how true this is, and I was going to bring this up in the podcast extra. But we'll talk about it more in the podcast extra. But NCM, who had and I say that in the past tense, had a exclusivity on the premises, no longer have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's now open season. So just to let you know why MegaConLive is there right now. Oh, I say right now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was
Having
really nice
just
having
been.
that option at the XL, because for me, being down here in the south, like, I'm sure you guys find it as well, like, it's difficult to get to other places. So the XL is a very central location in that sense. Like, the connections are quite good to get to. So it was nice having that, just knowing that I could go along for the day, and it was another like general con. It wasn't specialized. It was just kind of open to everybody. And I think that might be why it was just such a nice laid back chill con. It was just this whole new experience, and I really liked it.
I agree with you. Like, for me, the XL, I'm very lucky in the fact, I mean, living with my parents more so, but from my parents' house or my home to the XL, it's by like public transport, it is 40 minutes, and I'm there. So for me, like, I've always, like, the reason I've always enjoyed going to MCMs is because it's so close to home. So I'm not having to get up at like stupid o'clock in the morning to start. I mean, I still do, but like, I don't have to get up at stupid o'clock to start getting ready, because I know, like, oh, it's only like 40 minutes on the tube and I'm there. So it is nice. I'm glad that more events are coming to the XL, because also just I think it's a good venue with good connections to London, and now with the Elizabeth line as well. Like,
oh my god,
I know
that saved my life this weekend.
Like me too, because of the DLR not running. Like, it's convenient, and it also means as well, like, I have friends who wanted to stay on the XL but couldn't get a hotel, so they got a hotel further out. The good access to public transport means that, like, you can still stay like further down the line and be able to get to con within like 10 minutes.
That's the thing. Like, I was going to stay, so I had a hotel booked. I booked it the day that they announced it was coming to the XL, so I was like, nabbed a really good price for the Holiday Inn at the back of the XL. So happy with myself. Thought I had paid when I booked. Completely forgot about this hotel that I booked like 9 months ago, until 2 weeks ago when I had Booking.com email me to tell me my payment was coming up, and I was like, oh shit. Like, I don't have, I think it was like 260 quid or something.
That's like, really good though.
Really good, considering my MCM hotel is like 500. Ridiculous. So I was like, I don't have that right now. I'm just going to cancel my hotel. But I knew I could still go. I had a weekend ticket, and I did only end up going for the day. But I was like, I can still go because I can just get the train. Like, I'm from Southampton, or the Southampton area. And my line was closed this week because of the landslip we had the other week from the floods. So I had to go via Reading. But I just got on the Elizabeth line, and I was at the XL within like 2 hours. It was amazing. And if it was a con that was like further up, like anything past London is north for me, right? So if it was a northern con, like I'd have been screwed. I wouldn't have been able to go because it would take at least 5 hours to get there. So I really liked how accessible it was in terms of like like you say, public transport, and also just generally being in London. I feel like we need more things like that.
We do. Nice. So I attended I think it was the very first MegaConLive in Birmingham. Same. Mainly for a certain guest who was attending, who I'm very grateful to have met. I just went for the day. Whenever I've done cons in Birmingham, it's only ever been for one day because of funds and just hotels aren't cheap, nor are trains, and it is like a big thing to be like, you know what, I'm going to go to a con far from home, do a weekend, and it's lovely, and I'd love to be able to do that, but like, unfortunately, I work in the arts, it's not that feasible. I've only ever done it for a day, and it's fine, but it's, you really, like, I needed, like, a day to recover, like, more than a day, because I was so tired, not just from the con, but from the travelling. So, I definitely think there should be more cons in London, and it is nice that there's going to be more competition for the XL. Like, hopefully friendly competition, that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Good competition it's always welcome. I think I've always said I think we're all alluding to about MCM. I think, I will preposition this by saying I don't have, I get a press pass from them, so I don't want to sound like I'm biased towards them by saying, oh, they give me a press pass, because I have to be nice to them. It's like, I like to think I'm objective enough to say, yes, they give me a press pass, but also I can see the faults in it, but they are getting better at getting, and hopefully more events that are at the same venue will actually go, oh, we need to do something better now. We need to actually up our game. And that's what I want every event, every organizer to really up their game. So yeah, that's is always welcome.
That's the thing. Like, I really want MegaCon to succeed because it will be healthy competition for MCM, and I think they need, especially now that they no longer have the monopoly. I think they got a bit complacent, being like, "Well, we're the only Comic Con here, so who cares?"
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think it's gonna make for two really good events. I think, like, MCM is my favorite, hands down. We'll always go to it, but
I'm the same.
Yeah, it has its issues. So I like that we've got MegaCon now to kind of whip it into shape a bit.
I actually know a lot of people who went to MegaCon this year who normally go to MCM, but for them, MCM was just becoming more and more expensive and they couldn't justify the cost. And some of them went to this event being like, look, I'm going to try it out. If I really enjoy it, this might turn into my go-to rather than MCM.
Yeah. And I'm really happy that there is an alternative to it because of cost and all that. But yeah, we'll save it for the podcast extra. So we'll save the podcast extra. Anyway, another thing that I think we all were chatting in the green room about, which was something to mention, is that in a sense, it was such a friendly atmosphere amongst it when you're walking around and seeing things and yeah, it's just a really nice atmosphere, because I think we've had stories where when we've heard, oh, the TikTokers are really like making fun of the cosplayers at the MegaCon at the Birmingham event that I've definitely not witnessed, but I've heard byproducts of.
Oh, it happened to me at Birmingham last year.
There you go. But this year I don't think there was anything about it, although we'll touch upon that in the next section, because I think I know why that has happened.
Yeah, I didn't see any. I personally didn't have any issues with any TikTokers interrupting any cosplay stuff. But I mean, I was in casual cosplay anyway, so they probably didn't even notice. But
yeah,
so I didn't hear from anybody that there was any people interrupting photo shoots and yelling that we were all like fucking nerds and all of this. Like,
to be fair, we are nerds.
I know, right? Everybody was
about to say, we are nerds. We're adults putting costumes on, like we are.
Birmingham last year, we were doing a big Marvel shoot, and this absolute idiot of a TikToker threw a football in the middle of all of us, and immediately tried to like jump in and start like beating people up. But a whole group of like Spider-Man just jumped on him. So yeah, he didn't get very far.
I mean, I saw a couple of the TikTokers like doing. I mean, I don't really know who they are. I only recognise one because they were kind of a child star many years ago. But I saw them from a distance, but I didn't really see any others. But I didn't hear of any of like the TikTokers being like awful at all at this MegaCon. At the Birmingham one I attended, I heard there was a bit of it, but I didn't experience any or witness any myself. But maybe I was just lucky. I don't know. I do have a resting bitch face, so maybe they just saw me and went, yeah, no, and it doesn't help with who I cosplay either. So they probably, if they tried me, who knows what the chaos would have done.
They looked at you and went, fucking run!
They just saw me as Daenerys and just went, she'll call her for her dragons. Her non-existent dragons. But I didn't think there was a lot. I could see, like, as I was walking around, like, the massive section they put for, like, their meet and greets and stuff. But I never actually saw, like, any meet and greets happening.
Well, shall we talk about the bad then? Let's get into the bad then. All right. Let's as we're talking about this, my theory why none of this happened is because their section
was so tiny,
was non-existent. Like it, I remember. So I would try not to compare the others to others, but at Birmingham NEC, there's literally a hall for MegaConLive and a hall for TikTok, which is joined in the middle. There's an actual, connecting doorway that you can go one to the other. Okay. Now, when I heard MegaConLive London was happening, I thought, oh, that's going to be weird. I think, how are they going to do this? Are they going to do the exact same thing of like splitting them up? But when I turned up, I went, oh, it's all in just one giant hall. Oh, there's the Talkfest sign. There's the Social in the City sign. Oh, wait, is this it? Is this just it? It's just like four empty tables after... No, sorry, reframe that. There was 4 tables, 3 of them were empty. I can't remember seeing anything about TikTok guest of any sort, really. There was a stage, but I don't know who really manned it, so I don't know if there was any of the cosplayers that were asked to do it, because I think I've seen some from photos, which I can't... Please correct me if I'm wrong, if they were. But yeah, I just felt that I think every section was sold different tickets. So like, it wasn't that it was a MegaCon ticket which allowed you to do TikTok and social media that I'm aware of. It felt like if you paid for a MegaCon ticket, that was what you're going to, nothing else. So to turn up to that event and go, oh wait, if I paid for a ticket for a Talkfest, again, don't know how much the tickets cost, and went, is this my section? What the fuck? And like Social in the City,
I would have been angry.
Yeah, like Social in the City, again, there's just empty tables. Like, that shows the level of, I don't know if there was interest in it, or the lack of guests, or the guests that didn't want to attend. I don't know. I can't corroborate any. All I can say, and what I saw, were there just empty tables that looked like there were... It just didn't look right.
Also, like, the Kidtropolis thing they were marketing, they were like, come to MegaCon, like, Talkfest and so on, Social in the City. Like, they're like, oh, we got this whole bit just for your kids. Like, come and bring your family, your kids go free. And you arrive, and it was a couple of bouncy castles, some ball pit looking thing, and bumper cars. And I just looked at it, and I was like, if I was like, I mean, I don't want kids, I'm not maternal at all, but I looked at it, and I was like, if I was a parent, and I brought my kids, being like, oh, I can go to this event which I'm into, and they have something they can enjoy, and I saw that, I would be extremely disappointed.
To be fair about the Kidtropolis bit, they did say kids go free. Fucking right they should. Because if you're asking at least a parent to pay for a ticket, literally just pay one ticket. And my sister and my her son, my nephew, they actually said to me, oh, should we turn up? Should we go? I said, yeah, you should come. They decided not to go in the end. And when I took photos of it and said to my sister, I'm so glad you didn't turn up, because literally, this is it.
Yeah. And it's like, even with the bumper cars, like, the people using the bumper cars weren't the kids, it was cosplayers.
No. I know.
It was literally the cosplayers, and I was like, you know what? Like, good on the cosplayers for having a good time, but, like, I don't see any... at one point, I found a friend of mine in the queue, who, again, I hadn't seen forever, so it was nice running into him. But in that queue of people waiting, it was just cosplayers.
Yeah.
There was, like, not one child in the sight. I was like, this really didn't go how they intended.
I'm wondering if it's maybe because it's the first event. Like, I remember Birmingham being very small for the first one. I can't honestly remember, though, what the ratio between, like, Talkfest, Kidtropolis, and the rest was back then, because that was a very long time ago. But maybe next year it'll be a bit bigger. But Yeah, I honestly did not even notice Talkfest, so
I don't think anyone really did, because
no.
it was primarily the Mega. So it kind of like begs the question: why didn't they have a hall in a sense of the Talkfest Social and City one side? And they MegaCon Live, should I say, bought out 5 halls. So I don't know why they can have just one hall with just that stuff, and you can still have a gangway to like go in and out. Oh, actually, they had a platinum suite upstairs as well
They
for
did,
the,
They
yeah.
did, yeah.
yeah. And then the other 3 or 4 halls were just the queuing halls to get into the MegaCon, because I think that would have made more sense. But anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, I felt that was a bit that was a bit yeah. The other bad thing I want to quickly mention, which was I truly believe you only need half a day to visit it. If I'm honest, like you can really push it to a day,
Oh yeah.
but no more than a day. I
See,
think.
I
Yeah,
found
go
this
on,
because
Axel.
obviously I only went for the day in the end, and I am really glad I did not pay that hotel money. Like I went on my own purely because all of my friends that I do Comic Con with are from up north, so obviously they can't really afford to come to London. I can't always afford to go up there, so I went to this one completely solo. And I think you could probably stretch it to 2 days if you had social things to do with friends. So, say you were with a big group, because I found this with Manchester last year. I went for both days, and it was probably on par size wise with London. And if I was on my own, I wouldn't have had enough to do. But because I was with people, I did. So,
See, I did it for
yeah.
2 days, but I think the reason I enjoyed it so much and I was able to do it for like the whole 2 days was because I was there. Like I had friends who couldn't afford to do MCM, so they were like, "Oh, I'll come to MegaCon." So I was spending time with them.
Yeah.
Like even once I'd been through the halls and I was like, hadn't done the like seeing the people I wanted to see, and I'd spent time outside catching up and doing photo shoots and so on. I still had like there was people there who I hadn't seen who I was intending to see, and
That's the
anyone
thing.
else was just like an added bonus.
Like I bumped into people along the way, like inside. I didn't go outside once because it was really cold. I was like, nope, not doing that. So I was just bumping into people in the hall and like catching up and stuff, and like would hang out for like half an hour or so. But most of the day I was just kind of shopping on my own and just kind of wandering, and I was done by probably about 3 o'clock. Like, and that was pushing it. Like I could easily have finished about 2. So it definitely was not an all day thing. But again, I'm hoping that's because it's the first year. I remember Birmingham, the first Birmingham one I did for a day, and there wasn't much that could have kept me for a second day. Whereas the second Birmingham one, I did the whole weekend and I felt there was enough. So I don't know, maybe it's just because it's the first one, but I definitely don't think it was a weekend event.
From what I remember from so I've done every MegaCon Birmingham. I have not done the Manchester's or Dublin. I think it has gotten bigger, but not by, from my recollection, massively.
Yeah.
I did the first iteration, went for both days. I was like, all right, it's the first time, I'll give it a go. When I went for the second time, I only got a day because I literally flew back from Hong Kong and all that. And if
I
I'm
remember
honest,
that.
yeah,
You were like gone.
I was gone. If I'm honest, I'm glad I only bought a day. If I'm honest, I'm glad I bought a day for Birmingham NEC. And I do like the NEC, though I prefer the Excel for photography. I find, yeah, I was just actually glad I was there for a day, because I felt like, do you know what? I know what the tail off is about the attendee. It's not going to be the same for both days. People mainly go for one for the Saturday and then tail off on the Sunday. So I was like thinking, yeah, do you know what? I'm actually glad. And that's one, and I had the same feeling. I was like, I like this event, but I don't think it was worth the money I paid to get it for 2 days. Well, I say the money I paid. Full disclosure,
Yeah.
I got a weekend ticket, but I bought it off a friend, and they discounted it for me, which I really was really appreciative. So if I paid £48 for the weekend, I think I would have felt very shortchanged. Even if I attended MegaCon, it was the biggest part of it. I felt a bit shortchanged still.
Oh yeah. I think again as well, it depends on like what you're there for. Like with me being like I was with people constantly. I was doing different cosplay meets, different cosplay things going on. So and then I had the shopping and like looking around aspect on top of it. So Like there was always something there, but when I was on my own, like that whole cosplay side of things kind of disappeared for me because I wasn't with anybody. So it was like a kind of a, well, what do I do now? I've looked around like 10 times. What else is there for me kind of thing?
Like for me, because I was mainly there to see people, it was quite nice in the sense that even if I was like there was a point where I lost my friend, because again there wasn't as many people there. I had phone service, which meant I could actually get a hold of her, which is quite nice for the XL. I was like, phone service in the XL? What is this?
What is this?
I was like, what world?
I have
weird.
5G for what?
It was chaos, crazy. But even when I was on my own, like I didn't feel like awkward to be on my own. And when I was with other people, or when I pretty much, at one point, so my friend ran back to her hotel to drop something off that she bought. And this was when I was arriving, so she texted me, she was like, I'll just pop back to the hotel, I'll be like 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, that's cool, I'm just gonna go get my wristband and go grab something to eat, because that's the only way I can do cons, if I eat when I get there, so I know that I've eaten something. And as I was just standing around, like, texting her, being like, oh yeah, I got my wristband, I've just eaten a bagel, like, are you, like, where are you? Are you nearby? If not, I'll just start mooching about. I ran into about 10 people I knew all at once.
Yeah, that happened to me every so often. Every so often I was like on my own for like a short while. Then all of a sudden I stopped, talked to one person, and then 3 other people would turn up. I know, hello, 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 hello. So weird.
And it was nice in a way because, like, again, like the cosplay community is quite a small world. So it was nice in the fact that it meant that I could see people. And there's even people there who I've met and I've known, but we don't have pictures together, and we were finally able to actually get, like, a selfie together. Because we had that, like, we were able to stand and talk and chat, and there was room for that, and we could walk around together and do that, and it was very nice for that. But again, like, there is only so much there. Like, I don't think by any means, like, it could be a 3-day event, but also if it wasn't for the social element, I wouldn't have been there for 2 days.
100%. I completely agree.
But if it was just me on my own, I probably would have struggled for 2 days.
No, yeah, I'm glad we all agree how the size of it really didn't justify possibly the costs, but also, like, I don't know why. It might be because of the MCM effect that I expect a bigger event. And I will say that. There was a lot of people that did say it was so chilled, I enjoyed it because there was lots of space. It was like, I could do this, I could do that. And it was like, it was a small event, there was less people. I'm not going to discredit those people. I'm not going to suggest that what they're saying is wrong. Thing is that I did feel like the whole day I was going, I wish there was more people. I wish there was more stalls and things like that. Just everything more. I just felt, like anything about these events, I've paid money just to go through a door to go shopping and maybe possibly shoot photos. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think that justified my money, especially with the cost of living crisis that we're starting to come out of, but it's still there. But yeah, anyway, that's just a thought that I just want to bring out.
In the wider, like, cosplay community, obviously a lot of my circles are south-based, like London and below. And I'm really hoping that I know a lot of people who didn't go to MegaCon because they weren't sure what it was going to be. Because obviously a lot of them had not done Birmingham or Manchester because of how high the cost is to get up there. So I'm really hoping that maybe now they kind of see what it was about and they might be interested in going, like, up a little bit for next year. Because I think it's always just that risk you take, isn't it, with a new event? Like, you're going to buy your ticket, but you don't really know what you're going to get.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, this is what my friend's argument was about going to the Birmingham one. It's like, support that. Hopefully it will get better. So I don't want to judge it in a sense on this year. I will judge it probably not next year's, but the 3rd year.
Yeah, I think year 3s are good.
Another thing I think, like, we could say is under this category as well was, I'm surprised we haven't said it, but how cold it was.
Oh my god.
And like, it was freezing. I mean, I actually wore weather appropriate cosplays for once, which is shocking for me.
What is that? What do you
right?
How is that a thing?
Okay, if we're going to talk about this, let me put my 2 cents in right now and let me get cancelled for this. You can fucking clip this, okay? I don't care that you cancel me for this, all right?
Okay.
What was it about mid-January you thought it was going to be warm?
Yeah, I agree.
This is a weird thing though, right? So I was walking around the XL inside, and because I'm so used to being there in May, in my head, I was like, oh, in a minute, I'll go outside, fully expecting it to be like May, be like nice and warm and sunny. And then in my head, I'd go, no, wait, it's January. Who the fuck puts a con on in January? Like, that's just one thing right there.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
But the amount
Why?
of cosplays I saw, and I did think, that is definitely not one
Oh, yeah.
season
I think-
appropriate, or hang on,
I think
hang
when
on, no, you let me rant,
Let him go.
let me go.
Set him free.
Go.
I honestly, I just looked at it and went, I'm not trying to shame people for what they were wearing. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, don't wear that when it's fucking -1, 2 degrees. I just don't understand how you thought. Did you really think there was going to be a mini heat wave in the middle of January? I just could not understand that anyone was going to think that it was going to be warm. Oh, but I didn't think it'd be this cold. Yeah, but you knew it was going to be cold.
See, I think you and I actually discussed this when I saw you, because we were outside and we saw someone wearing, I mean, she looked amazing, but this girl was wearing next to nothing, and she looked incredible. I don't blame her for wearing what she did. If I looked like she did, I would wear that all the time. But I was sat there, like, this was on Saturday, so I was in my Daenerys, and for context, I did Daenerys in her big white fluffy coat, purposely, so I had 2 long sleeve tops underneath it, and leggings, and boots, and gloves. I was very toasty. Well, I mean, it was cold, but, like, I had layers. I was comfortable. And
You're not doing yourself a favour just saying that all out loud, but carry on.
I was comfy and warm, and I looked at her, and she looked great, and I was like, how I would have hypothermia after a con, as I say, as someone who almost got that in an October MCM a few years ago. Again, fandom that must not be named. I did a cosplay from said fandom and got very ill afterwards because it was so cold. And I learnt my lesson, but I was looking at people, I'm like, did nobody think that we're in cosplay in January right now by wearing something that's somewhat weather appropriate? Because yes, it might get warm inside the XL because obviously there's people walking around, there's a lot of people, you're doing a lot of walking. But when you leave, you're open to the cold, to the elements.
Yeah. And also, like, people know they weren't going to get all their photos indoors, so they're going to have to go outside anyway. So, like, it just befoggles my mind that they couldn't wait 4 more months to a maybe different event at the same location, or there's more people and all that, but still, it'll be at least a little bit warmer. You might get so-called heat wave in the middle or the end of May, not the fucking middle of January.
It's like, as somebody who's done, like, summer cosplays in October, I just don't advise doing it when it's this cold. Which is why when it came to, like, I actually, for years, I said, oh, I'm not really going to cosplay as Daenerys, I don't really have an interest in doing her. And then I got my ticket to MegaCon, and I think it was when the event was first announced, I booked my ticket. And I was like, right, it's a January event, what can I wear? What do I have that is weather appropriate? And I can only think of one cosplay. And I was like, okay, I'm going to treat myself. This was like December time. I went, you know what? I'm going to treat myself to a new cosplay. Happy Hanukkah to me. I deserve a new cosplay.
Yeah.
And I was looking online and I found this Daenerys coat. And I went, oh, this looks good. This would be great for the winter cons when I don't know what to wear because it's a coat and I can layer up underneath it. Which was why I did it. And I purposely, yes, it was a new cosplay, but I wouldn't wear that in May.
Yeah.
Even October, because sometimes, like, the past October was a really warm October. I wouldn't even wear that then, because I know I'd be too hot. But in an event like this, where it's freezing, and I kind of don't feel like freezing everything off, I would be like, yeah, this is the perfect event. And you can do winter versions of characters.
Yes!
Like, it's fine. You don't have to, like, you can wear extra layers, but I just don't want people getting sick.
Yeah, and again, I know this is the section of the bad about more or less the weather and cosplayers who didn't think about the weather, and it's nothing to do with the con itself, but it's all encompassing in the same package type of thing. And I just want to say, I really wish people just forget their lineup for a second and just go, I want to be comfortable, I want to be warm, let me change my lineup, please. I beg people. If you know it's going to be cold or it's going to be too hot, change your fucking lineup. If the photographer gets pissy about it or your cosplay group gets pissy about it, fuck them.
They're the wrong people.
You have to be comfortable. You got to be happy in yourself. Please, for the love of whatever deity god you pray to, fucking change your lineup just for
We even discussed this as well, because for my cosplay I did on Sunday, I did my Yennefer from The Witcher, and I've had major issues with the coloured contacts. They just do not like my eyes. And it was when we were talking on Saturday, Eddie, I was like, oh, I'm dreading wearing her because I've got, like, I think I only had, like, one planned shoot. And I was like, oh, I'm really nervous because I don't want to cause more editing. And you said to me, you just looked at me straight in the eye and just said, don't wear the coloured contacts. Eye colour is easy to edit.
Yeah.
And if they aren't willing to edit that, do it yourself and ask them permission to do it.
Ask permission.
Then do it yourself. No, you specifically said ask permission, which I would do anyway, just instinctively.
Yeah.
And you said your comfort is more important than accuracy, and something like that can be fixed in post.
Exactly.
And I was really on the fence about it, and you were like, no, like, as someone who's been doing this for like a while, I'd rather you be comfy than you be suffering. And in my head, I went, you know what? It's cold, and I'm blind anyway. Let's not be blind and in pain. And I actually, so honestly, like, wearing that costume without the coloured lenses was probably the most enjoyment I've had in a very long time. So don't think about, like, oh, but it's not accurate if I have, like, I don't know, like a long sleeve top underneath. Put yourself first, put your health first, put your well-being first.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's January. Don't go out in a t-shirt and shorts. Please don't get sick.
I wore thermals under mine this weekend, and I wasn't toasty. And when because I wore undercover Black Widow fugitive Natasha from Winter Soldier, and I didn't want to lug a coat because I was traveling for the day. I was like, I don't have anywhere to really dump my stuff. I don't want to pay for the cloakroom just to stash a coat. So I just thought, you know what? I'll put my thermals on. And these thermals did me for a week in Disneyland in like -degree temperatures, and I was toasty. So yeah, I wasn't like toasty warm, like winter coat warm, but it did the job, and I was a bit warmer. If I took the jacket off, I looked a bit like one of those like early noughties preppy high school people with like the t-shirt and the long sleeves underneath. Like I was about to go like grab a skateboard or something. But yeah, it was.
But you
fine.
were comfortable.
I mean,
and also like realistically, after cons as well. Realistically, con flu is a thing.
Oh yeah.
No matter how hard people try not to get ill, especially post-pandemic as well, we've got like COVID as well to think about. Con flu is still a thing. It always will be, because it's a load of people in a confined space. Don't put yourself at more of a risk by going to con wearing a really thin costume when you could have an extra layer. Like for my Yennefer, yes, she is a lot of layers anyway. Yennefer from The Witcher, she's a lot of layered on her top half. I added, just because I could, it didn't really work because it was a bit tight on me, but like I dealt with it. I added a long sleeve top underneath the shirt, the undershirt, just because I was like, you know what, one extra layer should do the trick. And I carried my coat around me all day, which, yes, that was annoying, lugging a tote bag with my coat with me. But I'm the sort of person where it's like, I'm stubborn. If I don't bring it, I will just not use it. And honestly, like, the extra layer, even though, yes, it may have been inaccurate or whatever, but it made a difference. And I'm glad that I did it that way, because otherwise I would have been too cold. But it is a January event, and I think in future events, if they do decide to hold it, MegaCon London, in January, I think that a lot of people do need to actually reconsider, like, hypothermia.
I just really hope they don't run it again in January, purely from a whole, like, it's post-Christmas, we're broke, right? I ate way too much over Christmas. My cosplays don't fit me how they should. Like, January is not con season. Don't do this to me.
Let's run with this conversation, because
I like it.
I honestly have such an issue about a week or two after Christmas. I think it's such a weird place in the calendar to have it. Even if they shift it by 2 weeks, the end of January. I think that would
January or early February would make the world of difference, because like,
or even April. Like, I've done cons in April, and April's a lovely time of year to do a con.
I loved like the Cos Expo slot. I loved that because it was always like, okay, yeah, you're at the risk of rain, but I mean, it's the UK, right? But like, it was always relatively decent temperature wise. Like,
I agree.
You've got the longer daylight, because that was a thing as well. It was dark by before I'd even like left the con. Like, it's just ridiculous for being outside.
Yeah, it was dark by like 3 p.m. Whereas in April, like, it's at least like 5-ish.
The
6.
earliest con season has ever started really is March. So I did not have it in my head that I had a con in January. So that's why I forgot to pay for my hotel. Because I was just thinking con season starts in March. Always has done.
Yeah.
Like, so
Not anymore.
I just couldn't compute that there was, like, all over Christmas, I was like not thinking I've got Comic-Con to prepare for. Like, I just don't want Con Crunch over Christmas, guys.
Yeah, and like I have to bring this up very quickly, and I know we're really overrunning, and we do need to talk about the ugly, and I feel like this is going to
The
take a
elephant in
long
the room.
time. Yeah, I was speaking to a lot of dealers, and it was so varied about how people either made money, they got their money back in a sense, or really lost. That honestly, it was so varied. And I was talking to one trader, and then they said, "Oh, we just brought cheap stuff." So that because we knew it was just after Christmas, that's a great strategy. I don't know if anyone else thought that. I don't know if people just thought, oh, it's a con season, just bring all our stock, rather than thinking maybe people don't have money. And I think that really affected a lot of things. So yeah, and it was just just January was just so weird. Sorry.
I mean, I liked the date it fell because my birthday's at the end of this month, and due to family functions, I'm actually unable to celebrate my birthday with friends as I'd like to. So in a way, I used this past weekend. I dubbed it amongst friends birthday con, even though it's
That's
not for
really
another
nice.
2 weeks. Even though it's not for another 2 weeks, but it was like the only time I was going to be able to see all of my friends in one place. So it was nice for that because I very nicely asked my family if I could have my birthday money early, which they gave to me. So I used it on artwork and jewelry from this one artist that I absolutely love to bits, and it was nice for that because I was like, okay, I'm celebrating my birthday early. It means I get to see friends. Then I've got the family functions later in the month, and it's fine. But again, like, in general, I wouldn't want the event to be this early. I don't even celebrate Christmas, but I was still there, like, before I got the Daenerys costume, I was like, what the hell am I going to wear for this con? Because even in my Cersei's, they're still quite thin. And then I was thinking, oh, I could wear my Melisandre. I'm like, no, you can't. You would get hypothermia in her. And I was just going through all of my costumes apart from now this Daenerys that I have. But I was like, I'm stuck for like winter costumes. And I know a lot of people obviously do have more winter costumes than summer costumes, but me personally, I have more summer-based costumes. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Bit early in the year to be digging these out of the cupboard.
Oh yeah. I just like having that break. Like, I always know October MCM is the last one of my season. I then don't have anything until March. That gives you that big solid break, either away from it completely or being able to work on stuff, not thinking, right, when's the next con? Like, rather, I feel like we're getting more towards a whole, like, con season is all year, and I don't like that at all.
I'm the same. It's like, I know, I think for me last year, my last con was LFCC Winter, which was November.
Oh yeah, I always forget about that. I don't do Showmasters.
I
don't do Showmasters events because I have a personal
fair.
vendetta against them. Story for another time. Eddie knows.
Yeah, I know.
The only reason I went was because I had tickets to meet a guest that was postponed from the summer one. And I try to avoid the summer Showmasters events anyway, so that says it all that I was there. That's how important meeting that guest was for me. But I went, and I enjoyed it, and I had a great time. But not many of my friends went the day that I went, but I had a friend who did, so we had a great time going around together. But that was my last event, and even that felt quite late in the year for me.
Yeah.
Big, and I know, like, MCM Birmingham this year was literally the first week of December. But I like, the same as you, it's like, I quite enjoy that break from it. Because then it gives me time to, like, take time away from it, but also to brainstorm, what do I want to do for next year? Like, do I want to improve what I've currently got? Do I want to work on anything? And there's no, like, pressure of, oh my god, I've got a con in, like, 6 weeks.
You're
I
not
need
con
to have something
crunching.
ready.
You're
I'm
working
not
on
having
stuff
to
like a
con
normal
crunch.
human
It's
being.
like, I say normal, with me that's questionable, but, like, I can work at, like, a semi-okay, like, pace, so I'm not, like, stressing, like, oh my god, I've got to have this done for 2 weeks' time.
You've not got that deadline hanging over your head, which
no,
you do
it's like,
all
I know
season.
that, like, even now, it's like, yes, MegaCon's just passed. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do for MCM May.
Oh god, I'm stressed about MCM May.
because I have one idea that's set in stone that I'm determined to do. Anything else would just be sporadic, but I know that in my head, I haven't even started looking what I need to look up, because I'm like, you know what, it's January, I've got time. I can take the rest of this month, and maybe even, like, like a couple weeks next month before I start doing stuff. If that makes sense. But it's nice to have that break.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's turned like anyone who follows Formula One. That's almost like a whole year calendar now race. Where it started with like maybe like 15 races spread across the year. It's now gone to like a 22, 24 race calendar, and they need their breaks for all that. It feels like that's becoming like a con every weekend, like both big and small. It's like I really, really need to move this along because I think those who are probably familiar with this format or my podcast and want to know what the fuck happened because fucking literally social media blew up like Saturday evening. I was like, what the fuck happened? So right, okay. So we're going to talk about the ugly, and there's only literally one ugly instance, and there's no point about discussing this and that. We'll just talk about opinions about this bit. So from what I understood, from what I understand, and what I can see from social media, there was an instant where a photographer who put onto social media, hey, just got stopped by security. They looked at my camera, and all I literally had was my camera. I was in the hallway. I'm by the way, there's a lot of extrapolation I'm putting into this little section, but I think it's probably, as I've been told as well, I was in the hall, I had my camera, and the security stopped me and said, oh, you've got one of those DSLR cameras. You looked, that's too professional. You need to leave off site. I went, and that's how it all kicked off. And it's like, that is weird behavior from the security. And even to use the phrase, that's too professional, I thought that was really weird. And it's, and a lot of things has come out from that whole weekend. So, I think I've heard other photographers that got stopped as well. I think I was lucky that I didn't get stopped because one, I spent the whole weekend not actually trying to take photos. So I was like, I wasn't bothered. I will admit, by the way, if I got stopped, my opinion might have changed. I might have been as pissy about the security debacle and all that. But the other things I want to say, since like taking a step back, looking at the whole situation, a couple of things came to my mind. One, I don't think security are going out their way to hassle photographers for no reason. I suspect something happened. Because no security's standing there going, do you know what? We haven't done anything in about a couple of hours. Should we just piss people off? Should we just actually stop people, randomly stop people? Yeah, let's do that. Like security, yeah. Security kind of want a quiet day as well. They don't want to like create an incident themselves. I also suspect that also a lot of us assumed when we heard MegaConLive is at Excel. Oh, we can do exactly what we do at MCM London at MegaConLive. It later transpired that's a lot of things that we didn't realise that we take for granted. So what I'm saying is that, I said earlier, MegaConLive booked out 5 halls. That is it. That's all they did was book out 5 halls. Nothing more than that. When MCM / Repop book out their halls, they do the whole site. That's why you got barriers in the open air area on the west side of the Excel Centre. That is what Repop are paid for. Is all that space, and this is what I was talking about earlier about ticketing. That's why I think they can justify selling inverted commas oversell tickets because they're including the outside area as in a sense a buffer zone. I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree. I'm just saying I can't remember what I said earlier, but that's that. So everything outside of the MegaCon halls was actually Excel security that were like causing all this kerfuffle, shall we say. And and a lot of it went up to social media. It later transpired, I think I was talking to someone, they said, oh, it was one security that kind of went a bit gung-ho about with all of this. But like I said, I suspect something happened. Because like I said, I can't understand that a security would just out of the blue go, they're too professional, I'm going to stop them. Something happened, and I don't know, but I just, so, thoughts. Because I'm a photographer, and you know, like I'm waving my photographers union flag at the same time, but I'm also trying to be neutral, look on the other side of the fence, look at the bigger picture. I can see arguments on both sides, and I just think there's one thing I just want to mention is that I think also there was a lack of communication from all parties because of like we thought it was an MCM weekend-esque setup, but it
Yes.
wasn't because we all thought that there was no communication. Oh, actually, no. What we said in the policy was only these 5 halls, nothing beyond that. So, there's something that BengaCon put up today actually. So today's Monday.
Yes.
And they put up something about, we appreciate there was lack of communication. We should have mentioned this or that and that to the security and this and that. And, you know, them even Excel said, we do want people to shoot photos here. We just didn't realize, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. So, let me
miscommunication.
Yeah, let me step back and let you guys talk.
Yeah, the way I kind of had this worry a few weeks ago. The more I started thinking about MegaCon, the more I was like, I know a certain portion of the cosplay community will think it's MCM. They will go into that event treating it like MCM. And when they see it's not like MCM, things might blow up because it's not what they were expecting. And I guess it's kind of what people have kind of done. They treated it as MCM, and it's not. It's a whole different thing. And like you said, MCM ReadPop hires out the entire XL, and they have their own security. And they've been doing that for the entire 10 years that I've been going. I don't know how long they were going before that, but I've been going there twice a year since 2013, so a long while. And I guess they know what the event is, they know how it runs, their security team knows people are going to be taking photos of cosplayers, let them be kind of thing. And I guess MegaCon being so new, security team just didn't really know. And I guess they probably weren't briefed, so they were just following the XL rulebook, which is their job. They were just literally doing their job. And I think, like you say, wires got crossed. There wasn't clear communication between different parties, and I think it all just kind of blew up a bit out of proportion. That's the way I'm seeing it. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of what,
I agree
the
with
nitty gritty, but that's kind of how I've viewed it.
It's like how I saw it going into this con. Like once the show map came out and it became clear that this wasn't going to be as big as MCM. It's a much smaller event. I was talking with friends and I said, okay, this isn't going to be exactly what we're used to when we go to the XL. Let's give it a go. Yes, things are going to be different, but like it should still be an enjoyable weekend. And we went into it with a very open mind, which I imagine most people did, but there's obviously always going to be that small percentage of people who don't go in with an open mind. They expect things to be exactly as they know it, as it always is. When, again, MegaConLive is run by a completely different company to MCM, who is run by ReadPop. The same as any other event. If you go to London Film and Comic Con, that's run by Showmasters. You go to Liverpool Comic Con, that's run by Monopoly. All these events are going to have different rules and regulations. And as for the security, I didn't really witness any of this myself at the actual event. I only heard, through the grapevine what was happening. And in fact, I was actually chatting with a couple of photographers that I'm friendly with. And as we were chatting, somebody came over and said, the security have been on the prowl. I've seen this, be careful. And this photographer that I was with, he even said, he was like, I'm not going to stop shooting unless I'm told to stop shooting. He was like, I'm not going to let them spoil my enjoyment. And I was like, yep, that makes sense. Everyone's entitled to enjoy themselves. We all paid for a ticket. That makes sense. And then later that day, I got a text from them saying they left a bit earlier than planned because apparently they witnessed the security being arsey.
Yeah.
But, which is, okay, that would, if I was in their position, I'd be the exact same. I'd be like, yeah, if someone's going to be arsey to me, that would ruin my day, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going home. I'm done. But also, I can understand, whether it's because maybe my dad, he works as a security person for big events, maybe it's because I have that understanding. I can appreciate that they were just trying to do their job, and with the statement that MegaConLive put out today on Monday, and having read that, and I think I sent that to you earlier as well, Eddie, when I read it. It seems that MegaCon themselves have communicated with the XL since, and they've received the feedback, they understand what went wrong, and they're going to work on that for the future. So they are admitting that something happened what shouldn't have happened, and going forward things are going to be put into place.
Yeah.
Which is, I consider that positive.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
not even 24 hours after the event, they're already going,
That's
right, this is
impressive.
what went wrong, we're going to work on it.
To be fair, they had to nip this in the bud quickly. I think if they left it any longer than 24 hours, people would have made opinions. People would go on TikTok and make like posts go, "Oh my god, blah 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 blah." I was like, dude, just give them a chance. You know, I will say one thing about this first time event. Yes, I will accept it as a first time event, but I will have to I would like to educate users that it's not MegaCon Live's first ever event. They've run Birmingham, they've run Manchester, they've run Dublin. It is also a fact that the owner of MegaCon Live used to own MCM events prior to Repop taking over. So it's not like they are, they're out of the loop. They don't know what's going on, how to run things. They know how to run events. They have done this before. I will accept those things have changed over the time. Things have moved with the times, so they maybe been out of loop in that sense. But it's weird that this communication seemed to falter a little bit between event organizers and security, which then obviously blew up a little bit with how photographers, and I think also, I will include some cosplayers because I think I've heard cosplayers were also made complaints about security as well. But it's good that MegaCon made this statement very quickly. And what I'll do is, if those who haven't seen it, I took a screenshot. I might actually post it in the description below. If you go to libsync.com or to my website, foodandcosplay.org. But yeah, it was very nice that they made this comment very quickly. But at the same, but I don't know. I don't want to put blame on one party alone. I think there was just, we could all learn from it. And I'm not just suggesting just Excel, not just Megan and them too. We as photographers, we as cosplayers need to learn as well.
I wonder as well.
No one was blameless. No, but no one was at sole fault.
Yeah, I wonder as well if it didn't help the fact that DragCon was on as well, because that is a very different event, but it does have similarities in the sense that you've got people there taking pictures as well. So I wonder if security, they had the rules for DragCon, they had the rules for MegaCon, they've also got the general rules for the XL. I just wonder if there was just too much kind of all clashing all at once.
So two things now that you reminded me. So one about DragCon, unsubstantiated claim that I've heard, which added more fuel to the fire, that DragCon had a policy. So may have had a policy. I should correct my own speech. May have had a policy that they were only allowing photography in the hall, nowhere else.
Okay.
So maybe that got filtered through. Possibly, don't know.
Yeah, cross wires. Because when I went for lunch, I kind of wandered the XL a little bit, just like, this is the first time I've been able to look and see what food options they've got. I've been going for 10 years and I've never managed to get close to them. Like, it was amazing. So I just had a bit of a wander. And the further along towards DragCon you got, obviously there was a really blurred line towards who was clearly a cosplayer and who was clearly a drag person. Like, everybody was dressed fantastically. And it was really hard to tell because obviously I know people as well who go to Comic-Con dressed in drag. So you didn't know who was who. And I guess that's even harder for security who aren't in this community, aren't in this whole world, don't really know what's going on. So I feel like it must have just been, it must have just been a really tricky call to make.
Oh, absolutely. So here's the second point, which I think some people may not know. Just because the area you're in is in a public arena doesn't mean it's public to the public. So, for example, if you go to Canary Wharf and try to shoot photos there, even though it's in open land, if you try to take photos there and security stop you, they have the legal right to take you off the premises because you're on private property, you're on private land. You'll need a license or a permission to shoot on their premises. I think there is more or less the exact same scenario at the Excel Center. It's something about commercial like commercial rights, or like it's easily recognizable. And if it's easily recognizable, it's like copyrightness. That's how it's explained to me. And I think, I can understand if Excel was like protecting their property of some sort, that they didn't want photographers using it for, I don't know, like no one was charging or anything like that. Well, I hope not. But yeah.
I mean, that's a whole lot isn't it?
But I wonder if they got in their mind that some of these people using it for for their own commercial rights and things like selling photos to, because obviously you got people dressed up in costume, people in drag outfits, things like that. So I don't know, again, crosswires there maybe. But like I said, this is the problem. There's such lack of communication. We're all making up our own theories, our own thoughts about what was going on with this incident. Yes, MegaCon have alleviated some of those claims, some of those issues, but I think we're still sitting there thinking, but what happened? So it is very, very. I think it's a very interesting topic, and it's something that I might take into a further podcast about. Not saying the rights of photographers, but the photography union community, whatever. I think us photographers need to be put under the microscope. Security need to be put under the microscope, and events need to be put under the microscope. So it's quite interesting. I mean, is there anything I've said that you are wanting to question, or anything you want to know? I mean, I can only do it from my own point of view, obviously.
No, I think you said it all, really.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've covered it pretty well.
Yeah, still just don't want people charging for pictures against their grey walls, clearly.
Oh, no, the grey walls!
The grey walls, the non-existent trees of this con.
Oh my god, don't get me started.
Yeah, no trees.
Yeah, no.
It was just so funny, I went outside, and because obviously all the leaves are gone because it's January, and I was just like, oh my god, this is the most quiet I've ever seen them.
I'll meet you under the trees for shoots. Under the twigs.
Under the twigs. Sorry. Earlier you just said something and literally my brain went, oh, the leaves are brown. Oh, the leaves are brown. And the sky is grey. And the sky is grey. Oh dear. I think that's it. We're going to put this podcast to an end. Like I said, we're going to head over to the podcast section. We're going to do a podcast about comparing, because we've done a lot of comparing between MCM and MegaCon Live. So let's head over there. We're going to do a proper dissection comparing of the two. And yeah, because I've got some thoughts, I've got some opinions. I don't know if my guests have any, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you very much both. If you don't, just in case you don't join us for the podcast extra, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Cassandra. We'll do our links now. So Alex, where can they find you on the social medias?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Natasha Cosplay.
Fantastic. Cassandra, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram as C_Lestrange and on Twitter as Power is Power with a 0 in the second one, because I needed that Game of Thrones quote there.
Jesus Christ.
Follow me for shitposting.
Oh, God. If you go to foodandcosplay.org/links, you'll find all my social media links that are there. Threads, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, it's there. If you go to foodandcosplay.org, generally, you'll find daily cosplay photos that I've put up, the podcast description and all that. If you go to If you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you'll find previously recorded podcasts with Alex, with Cassandra, and with all manner of guests and subjects. If you go to patreon.com/foodandcosplay, that's where you'll hear the podcast extra, as I mentioned, about talking about MCM versus MCL, or MegaCon Live, as most people call it, not MCL. No, I didn't just abbreviate that shit. Okay. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye, and they're going to say goodbye. So, bye, guys!
Bye!